record.
And record.
You know what? I vow by next week, we will have music to start the show. I was fiddling about on the computer and I stumbled across a royalty-free music site. So I'll pick a little something out. So we'll have music.
Tiddling about? Is that what you called it?
Fiddling about.
Oh, I think you said tiddling. I'm like, there's a new word.
Well, I've done that too, of course, but.
All right. So
I call it tiddling. I'll be tiddling on the computer for a little while.
I want to know.
Please keep the door closed. Huh?
I said we had to talk about if it was tiddling.
So I got close to coming up with music, which would be fun.
Great. That's really great. So I'm Melinda McKinsey from Brooklyn, New York.
I'm Tom Wise. Sunny, hot, but not that humid. Tarpon Springs, Florida, near Tampa, north of St. Petersburg.
And we're getting ready to unpack some shit.
Let's unpack some shit.
We
had so many topics last week we didn't get to.
No.
Because Matt Davis popped in, that was a fun segment, right? We did the movie trivia.
Yeah. You guys are good with the numbers and the money. You really break it down, and so.
Yeah, you should come up. You should come up with a segment that you'd like to do, and we'll get somebody to do it. Because I noticed that I was all over the budgets and.
Yeah, you guys are good with that. If you ever want to trick me up, just throw a bunch of numbers in there because I will randomly guess every time.
All right. So we did male drivers.
Yes.
6 decisions.
Okay.
Be unoffendable. You make me hard.
Yeah.
Photo effect. Scrabble your brain. That's / Scrabble your brain.
Okay.
And then master classes. We were talking about master classes off air just a minute ago.
We did sneak in some off-air time, so hopefully we seem fresh. Okay, I've got taking a compliment, the one that got away.
Yes.
Public moments, hot Jesus, and sexy talk, and tip of the day.
Hot Jesus. What was the second one?
The one that got away.
What was the
first one was taking a compliment.
Okay. And there was a third one then.
Oh, good Lord, you're doing numbers again.
Come on.
Okay, taking a compliment, the one that got away, public moments, then hot Jesus.
And then sexy talk and tip of the day.
Yes.
I do not have a tip of the day.
Okay.
Let's do one that got away.
Ooh, I'm nervous about this, but I'm just going to be honest
Please. That's why all the 13 people. Oh, by the way, may I ask if you're watching the show?
Yes.
My goal is to get to 100 by the end of the month, viewers. So if you hit the button of share, we would appreciate that.
Yes, please hit the button of share. Okay, so the one that got away is exactly what it sounds like. The one that got away.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, because women, we talk about this a lot, like is there that one person you always go back to or you think about that you never really sealed the deal that maybe you should have, right? Do you have, or can you talk about?
I've got one that I thought about that I said, boy, that would be, and I tried, but I could not close.
Okay.
I don't know that she got away more than she just walked away.
Well, what was it about that person that you felt like maybe, why would they stand out above all the rest of the other people?
Well, I'm crazy. I find this is nuts. We talked about this a little bit, but Sagittarian women and I get along very, very well. My sister's a Sagittarius. We get along very, very well. We're always funning and gaming. And if I meet, and maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but that tends to be the type of person I get along with. And I like a woman that's a Virgo, I don't get along with, and I don't want to tie all this stuff into astrological nonsense. That's just been my observation over the years.
I don't think it's. How do you do with Aquarius?
I think everything else is nebulous. Those are the one that's really good and really bad. Aquarius. I think my kids are Aquarius. One of them are Pisces. Aquarius. Where's Pisces?
Aquarius. We're so much fun. We're so flexible to the point that you really can't rely on us because like what over here? Okay, let's go. Plot twist. I love it.
No, I even named the Carrie card after this woman. I was so infatuated.
Aww. See, there's always one. Isn't there always one?
But she liked different types of men. I was not the type, some women like a big man, like a muscular guy,
Yes.
or guy that's, like Alec Baldwin. He's got, weighs a little bit, has a bit of gravitas as he enters the room. I'm going to be more the funny guy and the, lighthearted person. I'm never going to
Yeah.
be, probably not going to be perceived as a judge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we had fun together, but I wasn't her cup of tea. And at the end of the day, I don't want to talk anybody to anything, right? If I'm not working, if it's not working for you, I don't want to talk my way in.
And is this someone from like many years ago or?
About 4 years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I mean, I've been working on the cart for about 5 years.
Yeah, it's funny because when my girlfriends and I get together, that comes up about the ultimate relationship. And I typically will say no out loud. And as soon as I say no, then I have to admit that's not true. As much as I want to act like it's
Really?
not true. And then I admit it because there is one person throughout, and I met this person 10 years ago.
Wow.
10 years ago. And it's the only time in my life when I met this guy, I did one of these, like, I did one of those where,
Double take.
holy shit. And it wasn't just because he was attractive. He was definitely attractive. I can't tell you why, because I've never met anybody where I just had to catch my breath. I called my
Really?
girlfriend when I went home and said, what? I don't know what just happened to me. So here's the short version of the one that got away. So we started a friendship, which I prefer to do. So to make sure I like this person,
Of course.
if I want to have a long
Can I
term,
say something? Some women get freaked out by that. It's like, they wonder why I'm not trying to make it advance. It's like, oh no, I want to see we're friends.
I have to like you. I just have to like you, and you just can't be dumb. There are certain things I cannot tolerate.
Right.
And I'm not saying I'm the smartest one in the room, but just for me to have that dialogue to.
Of course.
And so, and I'm going to be as careful as I can because I don't want to name this person.
Matt Davis.
We met under professional circumstances.
Right.
And so because of those circumstances, it could have made it awkward. So after a few phone calls and stuff, I just broached the subject and I said, hey, I'm just going to be honest here. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like this is more than just a catch up friendship, because we were texting, but nothing dirty, right? It was all it seemed platonic and fine, but definitely I was thrilled every time I saw his name. So
that's the key, isn't it?
Thrilled.
I always call that the cell phone reaction. How do you feel when you see that person's name pop up on your cell phone? It's like,
oh, my heart would just skip.
Oh, that's so much fun.
It was so much fun. And so a couple of unfortunate things happened, and here's why it never worked.
His wife was very much against it.
No, he was single. I was single. I know. But I was newly going through my divorce, like newly, and I'd been married quite a long time. And he was very smart, and he said, listen, you really need to experience what's out there. You haven't been single for a long time. And he said, I would always regret this if we didn't. He said, I'll be here, but I feel like you need to have some experiences in life. And we had the professional thing. And he said, to be honest with you, I think this could be a problem with how we met. And I said, you know what? I respect it. So we gave it a timeline, like within I think it was 3 years with the professional experience over.
Right. So was your professional interaction, was there a clock on that? Like, we're just going to be working on a project that's going to be over in 18 months or something like that?
Yes, there was a clock on it. And so when the clock was up, we kept in touch. We, off and on, still very excited every time. And I always thought, wow, he's going to be the one. Like, I can't tell you why, because he just was. And so I started dating, and I was like, wow, this is very mature of me. Like, I'm dating, but I really am secretly in love with this man.
Wow.
And then an opportunity came to move to New York, and I had to make the decision, will I stay in Florida for a possible relationship, or will I move for me? Because a lot of my life was spent for my family, so I made the choice to move for me. We've kept in touch. I believe he's in a relationship now. We would speak off and on. But yeah, if he ever called me and said, hey, baby, I would probably drop everything. I don't know.
So
Yeah.
what happened in 3 years? You were off to New York, and he still lives down in Florida, and that was that. Just logistically wasn't going to happen.
When everything else cleared up, then that opportunity came, and it was just like, well, it was a real big moment for me because I have spent a lot of my life making decisions based on children or a spouse.
Oh,
It was the
sure.
first big decision I made just for me.
Of course.
And even though it was heartbreaking, I didn't think it would feel healthy for me to to make a choice to stay based on a possible relationship that felt unhealthy to me. And I
Oh,
thought it were
yes.
right.
Well, yeah, yeah, to piss up on opportunity for a question mark of a relationship, you would
Yeah.
be crazy.
So I still,
So did you check in with him before you went to New York?
we had the talk about it, and he was very like, I get it. You have to.
What
You
was his
have
situation then? What was his situation at that point?
at that point he was dating someone. We both were very, and
Of course, you're in demand.
and so he is the one that I think about. Like I kind of compare people
Really?
to, and who knows, I could have, elevated it, how it is.
We tend to do that a little bit, you know.
But yeah, so I have one that got away. I don't know.
Wow. So have you ever fantasized about him while you're with someone else?
I mean, probably.
Oh, I'll take that as a yes, Your Honor.
Probably. I
Can
would
we
say
have?
you know what, Tom, for the most part, and I think you've seen this with me, when I dive into a relationship, I dive in all the way. I pretty much am like, I am yours and let's do this. And so
Nice.
I don't really keep anybody on the side or text old boy. I don't do that because I wouldn't want someone to do that to me.
Right.
So yeah, when I'm in,
I've been bad. I was bad the other day. I
like,
texted an old girlfriend that I know she's with somebody.
uh-oh. What were you hoping for?
Well, it was just kind of a nonsense text. It was just like checking in text. I'm never texting anything, bad.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how'd the mangrove season go this year, or the mango season go?
Okay.
But even then, there's always that underlying, like, hey, I hope things are going shitty with you and your new boyfriend.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'll never forget when you and Pat and I were doing the What a Show, you both openly admitted that you're always kind of circling men's circle because you got to be ready. If something falls apart, you got to be in
Yeah,
line.
just for the real ones.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
That was hilarious.
yeah. No, we're not circling around just for nonsense.
No, I mean, there's plenty of nonsense that's easy to get to. So that was my one that got away. I was very nervous, but I
Wow.
don't think I gave anything away about who it is. So,
No, that's fine. Everybody knows Matt Davis is married, by the way. Did he tell you that?
oh no, I heard he remarried his wife, right? Yeah,
He
good for him.
scoured the 700 billion people on the planet. I'm just kidding.
It happens a lot, people get.
That's actually rather delightful. It means you can, it's like,
Yeah,
all right, I've taken it. It's like you're almost saying, I've made a mistake and I want to go back. That's nice. As long, that's a nice thing. It's very pleasant.
Sinbad has a whole comedy bit about it because he remarried his wife, and it's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah,
I think it's
you
good.
should watch it. Being a comedian, you would really get a big kick out of it.
Right. Well,
Okay,
go ahead. You
I was
want
gonna say, what's your topic? I'm very excited.
Well, you can pick it. 6 decisions, be unoffendable. You make me hard. Photos affect play / Scrabble your brain, or masterclass.
You make me hard.
All right. I took a word out of that sentence on purpose.
Okay.
You make me work hard. And I'm
Okay.
talking about this particular podcast. I was talking to my children about they become frozen with the fear of, that what they're going to do isn't going to be perfect. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm saying it doesn't matter. Just churn out some content, whether you're going to do your writing or
Yeah.
performing or, teaching kids. I mean, these girls taught piano lessons at a store.
Yeah.
And now teaching piano and music online is becoming a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
people are just stuck. I mean, they teach Chinese kids English.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing for a living. They're making a living, paying the bills doing that.
It's amazing.
But this was kind of not a backwards, but a forward compliment to you by you're pushing me to do this show. It's like, okay, that forces me to create content for the show, and I enjoy our time together, certainly as friends. And I like this little podcast idea. And I said to myself, Who cares if it does anything? This is enjoyable. Maybe there's a couple of people that are having it brightens their day a little bit, and that's a nice positive thing. And it also keeps my brain engaged to come up with
Yes.
ideas. And then I'll text myself, oh, that'll be good for so you start accumulating these lists of things that you want to talk about. And so you make me work hard, which is a good thing. The life shouldn't be about avoiding work. Life should be about engaging in work that makes you happy, feels
Thank you
rewarding.
for saying that. I mean, I appreciate that because I could tell there were times you're like, okay.
I said no 100 times.
But you know what? I have learned in my lifetime, the times I force myself to go out and do something where I'm like, I always have a fantastic time.
Right.
I've never regretted
Absolutely. Well,
moving
I
forward.
can't say always.
I say, well, I'm going to say for the most part, I probably shouldn't go that extreme, but I will say the times I haven't participated, I have regretted. I've had some times where I should have, and I'm just like, I'm
Right.
lazy, whatever. When I travel by myself for work, I had to make myself go out because, oh, how easy to stay in the hotel room and do nothing.
Turn on Netflix. It's
I,
7:00. What am I going to do?
who's going to know the difference?
Nobody
But
cares.
every time I forced myself to do a little walkabout, I would see something delightful, something would make me happy. And I'm like, you have to participate in the world, Melinda, while you're still wanting to participate in the world. So
One day you won't.
exactly. And you know what? We'll be doing a podcast from the nursing home talking about, complaining about the nurses and stuff.
This is crazy.
For me, it reminds me to keep in mind things that make me happy. And if I wasn't doing the podcast, I would probably be more negative, honestly, right now, because it's just a tough time in the world.
No, the last woman I dated, I was that situation. I got invited to a birthday party, and
Yeah.
it was 55 minutes away on a Friday. It's like, it's already 7:30. I know how these things go. I hate going to parties at a bar because the music's loud, live band. I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
I barely, the woman that invited me was very nice, but I really didn't know her either. And I didn't know a lot of her different friends. It's like, you know what? And then I was talking to my friend Faith, and she said, no, you got to go. I go, really? She goes, yeah, you got to go. So I went, and I met somebody really, really nice and had a great time. And I met other people there that I kind of knew because I invited them to brunch, and they were friends of friends. So I was so happy that I went out that night.
I love that. See, that thrills me. Yeah. That's a good one,
Take
Tom.
it, be a yes man, right? That's what our improv class taught us. Yes, man.
Yes, and
Yes,
what else?
and boom.
What do we have time for one more? Or should we wrap it
Well,
with?
we got plenty. We've only gone. I think we've gone. We've got about. I guess we've got about 8 minutes, 6 minutes.
Dang. Okay.
Take a compliment. Hot Jesus. What do you want to do?
Hot Jesus is okay. I'll say the hot Jesus story really fast because it's hilarious. When I first moved here, as you know, I was very touristy. Even though I'd visited New York, I just couldn't believe I was living here. So I would take the subway and just look around like I was just happy and smiling all the time, which you shouldn't really do because it invites some danger your way. So I was taking the train to go meet my friend for brunch on a Sunday. So I'm on the train, and I take pictures of everything, right? So I'm taking
You're
pictures.
like a spy.
I mean, I'd be a terrible spy, but I love to take pictures. So this guy comes on the train, and he sits on the seat where there's a door and then another seat. He looks like hot Jesus. He's got the facial hair, the long, and he's young. He's probably in his 20s. This was 8 years ago, so I was in my early 50s. And so,
Still hot as a pistol.
just so hot for early 50s. And so I wanted to take a picture to tell my friends, Hot Jesus is on the subway with me. You got to see Hot Jesus. So I take my phone thinking I'm very clever. And he's opening up very fancy equipment. So I'm thinking he's distracted. Yeah, I'm trying to do one of these, like, I don't know what I'm doing. Making sure the flash is off. Have you ever taken a picture with the flash?
No.
I've done that.
So you took the picture with the flash on it?
On the train accidentally once. Yes, that's another story. So I get my phone, and he's doing his camera equipment, and suddenly he just turns and looks at me, and I'm like, Hot Jesus knows what I'm doing. He knows what I'm doing. So here's what he does. He looks at me, and then he reaches across the train, and he goes like this, and he has a Dove chocolate in his hand.
No way.
Dove chocolates are the chocolates you open, and they have like things in it, right?
Well, Dove is also kind of a representation of the Holy Trinity.
It gets even better. Yes.
What?
It gets even better. It gets more Jesus-y.
If he levitates
He he hands the chocolate.
and he takes this woman's bottle of water, guess what he does next?
So of course, I take the chocolate from Hot Jesus, which is terrible because if it was a creepy guy, I probably wouldn't have. But he was Hot Jesus. So I take the candy, and the whole time I'm like, how am I going to get a picture of him now? Because now he's seeing me. And what do? Do I talk to him because he's giving me candy? So I open the candy.
You're obligated now.
I think whatever the candy says, because I'm very spontaneous. Whatever the candy says, I'm doing that, right?
Run. It says run.
So I open the candy and I'm very excited. And I look at it and here's what it says, Tom. It says, listen to the advice of your father.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Does God want me to have sex with Hot Jesus?
You're
Probably
like the
not.
Virgin Mary in this scenario.
So I saw that.
It's a Pornhub version of the.
It immediately just made me like, wah, wah, listen to the advice of your father. It became very biblical. And so I ate the chocolate. My stop was the next stop, but it would have been a good thing. I would have just stayed on the train. He doesn't know my stop. So it was my stop, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, well. So I grab my bag. I stand up. I look at him and smile. He smiles. I get off the train, and that was it. I never saw him again.
That's the one that got away.
He was super young. I mean, he would not have been a long-term situation. But, man, he was really hot, and I'm very sad.
Save your soul and move on.
It's burned in here, but yeah. And then when I told my friend at brunch, she's like, are you crazy? You don't eat candy from someone on the train. Oh. You could have been roofied. And I was like, listen, you got to live on the edge. You got eat the candy from the hot guy. If I got off the train, if I would have passed out, I would have been in a public place. Someone surely would have helped me.
Somebody surely would have helped themselves. You.
So that was my Hot Jesus.
Well, there you go. That's a wonderful story.
Yeah. Do you have a tip of the day for us?
I said in the beginning I don't have a tip of the day.
Well, I thought maybe when I was doing Hot Jesus, you would. No, you didn't. Sneak.
Tip of the day.
You know a lot of good tips.
You know what I'm famous for? I'm famous for homemade popcorn. I make my popcorn old school. When was the last time you cooked popcorn on the stove?
I do make popcorn on the stove, and when my chef friend that lives here, my daughter's boyfriend, was blown away. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, this is the only way to make popcorn.
Bitch.
Sorry. But what's your secret? Do you put stuff?
Well, first of all, I coconut oil on the bottom. I guess any kind of oil will really work. But I noticed yesterday coconut oil got a little smoky. So I put in 4 tester kernels. You put the oil in. Then you drop in, I don't know who taught me this or if it makes sense, but this is what I do.
Okay.
Put 4 tester kernels in, turn the heat on high, then put the lid on it. And when you hear the 4 kernels go, then you know your oil's hot enough. Okay. Now I dialed down the temperature a little bit, add my corn, back with the lid. Okay. Now it's popping for 3 minutes.
Yep.
Here's a little tip. Here's the tip of the day.
Here's the tip of the day.
If you don't want popcorn, you want your popcorn to be dry. You don't want wet, soggy popcorn.
Right.
So I've got this big kettle that I use.
Yeah.
It's about this big.
Yeah.
And when I keep the lid on until because the popcorn's popping against the lid.
Yeah.
Now the weight of the popcorn will stop the popping because now the ones on the bottom can't get through the weight of the other ones that are stacked on top. Then I remove the lid. Here comes all the vapor. Here comes all the water escaping while the rest of the popcorn is popping.
Oh.
So now when the popcorn stops popping, you're down to pop, then you can turn off the heat.
So you have really large
into the bowls, and now the popcorn is hot and dry, and it's not wet.
Do you butter it?
You know what? Typically, I do not. However, I did butter it yesterday. I had a guest that requested butter.
I love buttered popcorn.
The 9-year-old said, I like butter. I go, all right.
I love
Here you go. And it wasn't even enough. I put half a tub of butter on that and popcorn.
It's never enough. You really have to saturate it.
I go, what do you think? I'm the AMC?
day. So the secret is you must have a tall enough kettle so you know
Yes.
you can take the lid. I don't have that. I guess I need another
You know
kettle.
what? It's one of those things that I never would have bought myself, but my ex bought it, and when we split up our stuff, it just kind of
Yeah.
by accident ended up in my house.
Okay.
And
Nice.
I said, no, I think I'll use this. It's perfect.
That's a great tip. There's nothing better than homemade popcorn, honestly.
Yes.
It tastes completely different. I highly recommend
Oh yeah, made with love.
Made with love. What a nice way to wrap up our unwrapping some shit.
There you go. Well, my name's Tom Wise.
And I'm Melinda McKenzie.
And thanks for unpacking some shit with us for a few minutes. And we'll be back on Wednesday. So we typically run this show we tape around between 1 o'clock and 3, and then release it about 5 or something like that. And then Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Please subscribe. I'm going to see if I can make a whole nother subscribe just for us. And we would appreciate it if you're enjoying the show. Hit share. It doesn't cost you anything.
Right?
Right?
Tell your friends.
Thanks.
We're here to help the world.
Our goal is to get 100 views. We had as many as 80 views on our third show.
Yes, we did. So it's super exciting. Last week we forgot Sexy Talk. We said we were going to double up this week. So Wednesday show.
Sexy Talk.
We forgot Sexy Talk. So Wednesday's nothing but Sexy Talk.
I'll load my sexy gun.
Yeah, you will.
All right. Thanks everybody. See you Wednesday.